comes to Downer Avenue.
This is day 10 of Tour of America's Dairylands. We are getting close to the end. This is the ACC day too, so huge crowds out here. We're actually super close to Summerfest, so lots of crowd turnover from there into this race, and we are starting out kind of funky. They said riders ready, and then at the normal time the whistle would be blown. It did not get blown, but we all just went, so we're into the race. Dorito-shaped course, you could say. Sharp turn on corner 2, and then like a double turn into the finish that are pretty easy, pretty pedalable through. But we have a double series race dynamic going on here, being part of the American Criterium Cup and also part of Tour of America's Dairylands. We have Danny Summerhill's up here. A bunch of other guys are up here planning to do the American Criterium Cup. So you'll see some different jerseys in here based on points leaders. Lucas Burgoyne, instead of being in the National Champs jersey, he's got the red, I think, ACC leaders jersey on, which we'll point out later. But the standard antagonizers of Tour of America's Dairylands, plus a ton of other people. And here, starting early, I go against my plan already, and I sniff out a little attack. I kind of look back here and notice I'm not going anywhere, and I didn't really want to go anywhere anyway. I was figuring I was just going to chill, maybe tail gun if it felt right, but I look back and there's just a field on my wheel, so I quit that notion pretty quickly. A little standard biker's deviation over there to the left. We have Mido Q all up in force. I noticed that it was getting weird the farther back you went. People were just hanging in weird, unpredictable lines. I scooted back a little bit after an attack at one point and then decided I didn't want to be any farther back than like 20th wheel. There's 180 riders in this race, and the farther back you go, the less predictable and the weirder it gets. So I'm just going to race up towards the front, try and stay a little smooth. See on the left here, Stephen Bassett kind of following a wave, and I saw him doing that. He got blocked up by Marshall over there, and then I just went over the top trying to track down possibly Patrick Welsh. I think it's actually one of the other ABC riders who had gone for a preem. There were tons of preems in this race. We're talking $500 preems, $900 preems, $2,000 preems, and $2,500 preems, like back to back. We'll see that at the end a little bit more, but preems are a huge factor today. So, first person to cross the line when they ring that bell gets more money than the winner of the race is going to get. Speaking of, there is more money on the line on this race, like $600 for the win instead of the normal $350 for a towed race, so everybody's racing with that in mind. It still only goes 15 deep, I think, but I'm not really thinking about the towed overall anymore. I think I'm sitting 5th overall, but the payout is like 3 deep, and if you get 3rd in the overall, you get $100, and nobody's going to remember that anyway, so I'm going for more of the best placing I can get. I'm kind of tired of getting 4th and 5th, and right here we have a $500 preem, which I'm not really hunting for, but Evan up front hits the pace pretty hard. I am on this SCAD rider's wheel who's tracking Evan down. We're getting into the last few corners here, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a pretty good spot to be. So I figured, why not kick around and go for a little $500? So I do, and I hit pretty good power for me and sustained it for a while. I felt like I just had to commit to this one. One of the German riders that was actually in the breakaway with me, day 2, he was right on my left, and I could hear him just yelling, not able to come next to me, which felt nice. It took me a while to recover from that one. I actually filtered back into the pack a little bit, and while that was happening, we have these little breakaways going up the road. So we had riders of 1s and 2s just like sending it up the road. At one point, it was, I believe, Keegan from Mido Q, who's been really good in breaks, and also Troy Fields. That was one of the more sustained breakaways in the race. They stayed out for a handful of laps. I don't know how many, but it was a substantial amount, and they had a good little gap for a while, but as in Toad fashion, it would get pulled back by various riders for some reason. So we're going for another preem. It's kind of strung out. I was just kind of floating, following wheels. See Marshall on the left there, diving for a preem. I think Mido Q and the New Zealanders collected a hefty amount of preems today. You know, Ryan Gorman was going for preems. It was getting wild towards the end of this race. Everybody wanted to be up there. They called a $2,000 preem, I think maybe on this lap. You can see Ben Oliver like getting a little antsy, maybe thinking about going for it. I don't even know who got the $2,000 one, but that was pretty wild. And then like the gambler preem, so with 2 laps to go, so $2,000 with 3 laps to go, and then with 2 laps to go it was like $2,500. So the last 3 laps of this race are just pinned out, really weird. You can see Lucas Burgoyne on the left here. His team has done pretty good just tail gunning as they usually do, and then they moved up at the end and got him in a pretty good spot. We have about a lap and a half to go at this point, so he's gonna do his standard Burgoyne dive bomb, and I'm just gonna follow that wheel up and through because I know the space is gonna be open because he's opening it. Lucas is shooting up the inside. Here we are in actually a pretty good spot with 2 minutes to go. You can see it gets on this little straight pretty bunchy. The wave would just kind of roll over the top, so you wanted to either be like pretty far up front or following that wave from the back, and here I was neither. I actually just got on Joaquin's wheel here and tried to roll through. See James is pretty tuckered out from keeping his guys up in good position. Joaquin is too. The little gaps opening up. I'm gonna hop on Kyle Teasler's wheel into 1 lap to go after that $2,500 preem. You can see, I think Luke Fetzer actually got that $2,500 preem up there. Maybe one of the ABC guys. And man, it was fast. They had like a little gap into it, so I think they just kind of kept rolling it. I'm actually in a pretty good spot here, so I'm thinking I'm gonna go for an early little move. Last year, Brian Gomez attacked like with 1 or 2 laps to go and just stuck it. So I'm looking for opportunities. It looks like there's no real team that's going to keep the pace super high right now. Bunches up, and I just take my opportunity and shoot up the right side, you know, as hard as I can, hoping I get a little gap. So I hit it pretty hard here, and just I'm going to try and hold on through the finish. Holding 800 watts. I can usually hold like 750 for a minute, and this is 36 seconds out. My legs are starting to hurt, but I know I've got to just like keep whatever gap I've got. Looking back at the drone footage, Maurice had just gotten onto my wheel here. I'm still trying to pedal through this corner, and I take it way too wide. And then up on the right here, Ben Oliver just sends an absolute nuke on the inside. And I had taken Maurice ride, so he got 3rd wheel. I didn't really care about getting, you know, 10th in this race. I just kind of wanted to go for the win and knew I was just only going back from here, so I kind of sit up and roll in for 29th. Ben Oliver in 1st. I think Brody McDonald in 2nd, and then Maurice in 3rd. Thanks for watching.